Polyrhachis dives, one of the most widespread and numerous species of the genus Polyrhachis. Sometimes called golden weaver ant. They are polygynous, which means that there can be as much as 50 or more queens in large colonies. They can number sometimes up to several 100,000. Their food consists of insects, sugary excretions, and wild honey. They protect and harvest colonies of aphids. Foraging is carried out mainly in the afternoon. They mostly nests in the crevices of trees and stumps, tree holes, and sometimes in the ground and rock crevices. They use their larvae to weave nests. In the wild, you can observe their nest to be spherical. The inside of the nest is divided by partitions into chambers or layers. They do well on natural formicarium since they need humidity, and they should have access to building materials such as sawdust, hay, moss, sand and small leaves. They need high amounts of humidity, 60 to 80%. They also need good ventilation. Never allow their nest to dry out. I kept a colony in a test tube before and it is very prone to molds. Keeping them on a test tube is also not very neat, since they like to cover the surface with silk, and bring in substrate. Often in captivity, they attack each other, with fatal outcome. The most common reason: poor ventilation, or lack of space. Under optimal conditions, they grow rapidly. That should be considered when sizing the ant container. It is advisable to buy colonies with multiple queens and workers from 100 individuals. One very interesting fact about this ant is that there are a number of scientific studies concerning their resistance to disease. They are also considered as an edible insect, and it is well known for its kidney tonifying and anti-inflammatory properties. Of all the available ant species that I can take care in the Philippines, this is my favorite one. However, these species is certainly not for beginners. They are easily stressed, and is very prone to fighting, and killing some of the queens. They need a large space, and lots for food. I noticed that they prefer honey above all else, and having this sweet treat somehow controls their more aggressive behavior. I make sure to always have some in my colony. This, in addition to fruits and their protein source. You need to keep them in a big container, since they want to keep their dead sisters far away from their nest, as far as possible. If not, you'll see individuals constantly carrying the corpses for hours and hours around the container. I've kept my colony in a 2.5-gallon tank. I created these containers as their nest so that they will feel safe, and it would be easy for me to transfer them to a bigger container once available. I have provided a number of them, so that they can choose where they want to stay, and this will also control the size of the colony. For 2 months, I have tried different ways to keep the ants inside. Powder and oil barriers, placing a moat around the tank, covering them with a silk mesh, placing a glass on top of the tank to totally cover it and prevent escapees, but to no avail. I kept on finding escapees each day in the morning. The tank need to be totally closed off since these ants are very good climbers. The powder barrier, which has worked with most of the colony that I kept, was not very effective. These ants are very relentless once they find a possible escape route. Aside from the powder barrier, I also tried olive oil. This somehow prevented them from climbing over for about an hour. This is the time when they learned to carry some moss and cocoa peat, and stick them as temporary steps over the oil barrier. Finally, I've had this tank custom made as a natural formicarium for my Polyrhachis dives colony. I found 8 legs, and contacted Mark to build me a container that I believe will be very good for the colony. That is it for now. I'll tell you more about this new ant enclosure on my next video, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It will really help a lot.